Welcome to Lights, Camera, Cash, the podcast where creativity meets cash flow. I'm your host, Nicole Sellars, and I'm here to help you unleash the superstar within and turn your creativity and charisma into a money-making machine. Today, I am so excited to have Barry Morgenstein of Barry Morgenstein Photography here with me. He was voted Photographer of the Year, presented by the country's leading law enforcement magazine, The Blue Magazine. He was also voted 3 times by Backstage Magazine as the best photographer in New York City. He volunteered to work with the Gary Sinise Foundation and the Independence Fund, shooting live concerts and portraits of veterans and their caregivers. Barry's old Hollywood style and vibe keeps actors, TV hosts, and news anchors alike coming back to his studio, where he's known to make his clients feel at ease in front of that camera. Hello, everyone, and welcome, Barry Morgenstein. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me. Always good to see you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about how you got started. I know there was a really cool story about you working with music photographer Mark Weiss. Tell us about that experience, because I imagine it as kind of being like that Almost Famous scenario where you're shooting a lot of celebrities and musicians. What was that experience like as a young photographer?
Yeah, I definitely identify with that movie, one of my favorites. But yeah, I started working. He was a big rock and roll photographer in New York, and I got a job as his assistant. And yeah, I was with him for about 2 years. And he started a photo agency and would start sending me out on concerts, shooting concerts. And I just kind of built up my portfolio. And after a while, I just made contacts with record companies and felt I wanted to go on my own. And so after 2 years, I went on my own and just continued doing shooting for record companies, music magazines, rock and roll magazines, and yeah, so it was a great break.
That's so cool. I always think about that movie, and was it very similar to that scenario where you were kind of following the bands around, or what was it like for you back then?
It wasn't quite. I wish it was like that. I didn't go on tour on the tour bus once in a while, but it was mainly I would just go into New York, and when they were at the Garden or wherever, or record companies, and I would go shoot local venues, which was still great, but not quite as maybe not as exciting as Cameron Crowe was dealing with in the movie.
My gosh.
Yeah. It was a different era too, which I wish I was in his era, because I missed a lot of some of those greats too that I would have loved to have toured with.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So many incredible bands. And at what point did you know you wanted to start your own business? Because a lot of our listeners and our viewers, they're all creatives and they want to turn their passion into a profit. They want to create their own business. What was it like for you when you were first starting out? And when did you know, okay, now's the time for me?
It's from the beginning. When I got the job as assistant, my goal was to just learn what I can, make contacts, and get on my own. So basically, as soon as possible. And when I guess I felt when I had the right connections and when I knew I was good at what I was doing, then I was ready to move on. And like I said, that paid off.
Yeah, and then you're really big among not just like the news anchors and actors, but also like political activists and a lot of famous faces. What were some of your kind of most memorable clients or experiences, and what were those experiences like for you? Because really you caught on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so after I left I was doing the music for a while, but then eventually I found my real, I guess, niche was headshots and portraits. Mm-hmm. So that's why it was a specialty. And then I started, I guess, shooting for a lot of the news people, news anchors. A lot of them have been great. For the most part, a lot of newscasters have been really good. I've met some really great people, and I have some people that come back. I'm shooting Megyn Kelly again in a few weeks, which is I think my 3rd time. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, I just love being, because I love news and history and politics. So being around those guys is pretty exciting. So a lot of them are great.
Yeah, and you were voted New York's best photographer 3 times by Backstage.
Yeah.
What was that like to get that accolade?
I think it's a record. I don't know, it may still be a record, but that was pretty exciting. So good feeling, obviously, that people are happy with my work. So yeah, because I shoot a lot of actors too, as you know, actors and TV hosts like yourself, news people, so executives.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think really sets your style and your vibe apart from all the other photographers in New York City and really around the country, because you have such a specific style that everyone keeps coming back for? What really makes you stand out in your photos?
I think it's my influences are very classic photographers, like classic looking photographs, clean gray background, just about the expressions. Nothing fancy. I'm not about bright backgrounds or elaborate backgrounds that'll take away from the subject. I'm more about capturing the personality and the soul of the person. So I don't want anything distracting. And I just think my lighting is simple, but it's good lighting and flattering. Everybody seems to like it, and I think it's about the personality too. I think I'm pretty laid back and easy to work with. We have fun in the studio. We have music playing all the time. We just kind of hang out and talk. Yeah, I'm pretty normal for an artist. I'm a pretty regular guy.
Yeah. And I love that you kind of warm people up in a sense of like making them feel comfortable. The second that they walk in, yeah, the music's playing, you guys are having great conversation. There's really that very relaxed vibe. And for people who are very uncomfortable in front of a still camera, like for me,
Right.
I'm pretty good in front of a regular, like a video camera, but in a still
Mhm.
camera, it's very, very nerve-wracking because you don't really know how to move or to pose. Do you have advice for people who aren't super comfortable in front of a still camera? How do they relax? How do they kind of, just connect with the camera and they're not so focused on really how they look, even though that's really what the whole point is for them
Yeah,
being.
yeah, no, I get that a lot. I've gotten that in the past with actors who are on TV all the time, and they get in front of the still camera and they freeze and they say, what do I do? So I don't know if I really have advice. It's more what I do when they're in front of the camera. It's like I just kind of become their director, and again, make them feel comfortable, laid back, and we just have a good time. And once I get them comfortable, and maybe I guess I feel like a movie director. Maybe I'm just directing them a little more too. So and then they kind of get into it, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And when you're sitting in front of that camera, it's almost like, okay, I have the vision of what I want it to look like, but to bring that to life is really, really difficult.
Right,
So to look
right.
to you for direction, I mean, that was such a lifesaver for me, and I'm sure for so many others. And especially for news anchors and TV hosts, especially, they're used to being in front of the video camera. They get uncomfortable many times in front of the still camera. Are there any sort of like exercises other than like maybe it's like a warm-up process? Is there some sort of a process that you kind of walk them through to get them comfortable besides just that conversation piece? Like what you're hearing so far? Then you're going to love all the content and support inside TV Hosting Academy's Green Room membership. Member perks include small group coaching with me, Nicole Sellars, access to industry insiders who share all the secrets to on-camera success, and a monthly think tank session with a tribe of like-minded creatives. Check out all the details in the show notes. See you inside the Green Room.
Nope, no exercises. They just sit down and we just chat, have a good time. I just am myself, and we just hang out. I guess the best way I think to relax them, like what I'm finding works, is after we do a few photos, I'll snap 3 or 4, turn the camera around. They see how they look, and they're like, almost always, "Wow, I love it." They relax. That's kind of all it takes.
Right.
So
Yeah.
exercises, just kind of showing them the work and how good they look, and making them feel comfortable. That's
Right.
about it.
Right. And starting your business back then too, because we have a lot of aspiring photographers, it's almost like they have that fear a lot of times of jumping into owning their own business, especially
Right.
like jumping in, but also sustaining it. How have you been able to sustain it for so many years? Is it just a lot of referral base, or are you doing a lot of marketing and advertising? How did you really turn it into such a successful photography business?
A lot of it was referral, but these days, social media certainly helps. That's how I promote myself all the time here. It's visual, so I'm posting my shoots every day on whether it's Facebook, Instagram, and people see the work, and maybe I'll post a client,
Mhm.
and then their friends will see it, and they'll say, "Hey, who did that shot?" So it's promote a little promoting myself, and a lot of word of mouth. So I'm just lucky that I'm keeping it going. And
Yeah. And what has been your most memorable shoot or client in the past?
Oh, most memorable. Let's see. Well, back in the music days, I got to photograph Paul McCartney, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm a big Beatles fan, so that was pretty exciting. I got to photograph Stevie Ray Vaughan live, with one of my favorite blues guitarists. Um, just it's been a lot of these days, the people that really excite me. As you know, I'm like very much into supporting the military and veterans. So a lot of times when I get those guys in the studio or gals, they're the best. I mean, I love hanging out with they're like kind of regular guys and least egos,
Yeah.
Even though they have the biggest egos, they have the least egos. So I just love being around, love being around heroes. That's not a bad part of my job. I've met some incredible people. So I think these
Yeah.
days that's my favorite.
I was going to say you're very well known for that. Really, your support of the men and women in blue, which is incredible. And you have been photographing a lot of men and women for, is it the Blue magazine? Talk a little bit about some of those
Yes.
magazines that you've been working
Blue
with.
Magazine is they started off in New Jersey as the official New Jersey law enforcement. They've expanded to the country, and now they're the leading law enforcement magazine in the country. And I do a lot of work with them, and I was honored. They gave me a photography award at one of their ceremony dinners, which was one of the highlights of my career. And I work with great guys, Daniel Del Valle, George Beck, and the whole crew there is just amazing. They do great work getting the word out on the importance of law enforcement, and because there's a lot of negativity about them, so they kind of get the good word out, which is important. And so I like to help a little I can with that too.
That's
So it's
awesome.
an honor to be like a part of that magazine.
Yeah, I was going to say that was probably a super proud moment for you. And then also your work with the Gary Sinise Foundation. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about that experience.
Yeah, it was. I would love to do more, but at one time I volunteered and I went down to South Carolina. It was the Gary Sinise Foundation and the Independence Fund, which was two groups that got together, and it was a week getaway of the veterans and their spouses or caregivers, and they just had events for them. So I volunteered with my makeup crew. We went down, we set up a studio, and basically made the caregivers feel good because they don't always get a chance to just sit down, maybe have hair and makeup done if it's their wives. So we just did portraits of them and with their spouses, and then I got to photograph the Gary Sinise concert at the end of the week, and yeah, that to me that was one of the greatest experiences. That like really changed me. That was an amazing
Yeah.
weekend. I'm still friends with people I met that week, and yeah, I'd love to do more of stuff like that. Just I always shoot. I always give veterans discounts if they do come to the studio, veterans or law enforcement. Gold Star families, I do not charge. If these days maybe a Gold Star parent or sister or brother may be on TV, so maybe they might need a headshot. So if they do, I do not charge them.
Oh,
So
that's awesome. Now, how do they contact you for those? I mean, would they just go to your website for that, or?
yeah, my phone number, email, social media. You can message me. I'm easy to find. So yeah.
Yeah, you know what's great about you too is that you are staying up with the times with merch, right? So like you're selling t-shirts now with a lot of your photographs on them, which is really, really incredible. And for a lot of our up and comers who are starting their own businesses, they're trying to figure out more streams of income with maybe their photographs. What was that
Right.
like to get started doing something like that? Because that's super creative, but it's taking your own works, putting them on t-shirts and selling them online. Is that something that you dove into head first, or how did you figure that out?
Maybe in the past few years, I decided, I have all these great photos and these great rock and roll and music legends, and people aren't seeing them except when I post, but I should sell them. I sell them as prints and T-shirts, and yeah, people are excited about it, and people also keep telling me I should do a book, which I'm hopefully going to be doing a tabletop book too.
I
But
love that. Yeah, like a coffee table book with all your best
right, yeah,
photos.
coffee table book. That's it. Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
So yeah, but I love the T-shirts have been a big hit, and sell the photos. It's mainly the music stuff that I've been doing that. So yeah.
I love it. Any tips of advice for kind of up and comer photographers as far as gear or getting their business started? Anything that you can really share with some up and comers?
Well, as far as the portraits go, I just say, well, even what I did in the beginning, best is maybe go work for a photographer and learn a little bit of the craft, working as a photographer, and then shooting. Just keep shooting and just practice. How you learn is by shooting. I say maybe I went to school, but just for the basics. And back then it was dark room, which obviously is not around. But I think school is not that important. It's more about just doing it and learning. So practice, get a job, maybe again try to copy your favorite photographer's style. That's what I used to do. Go through magazines and I would say, oh, try to copy this. But then eventually you kind of, by doing that, you'll create your own style. So
You
yeah,
develop your own.
yeah, just like keep shooting, and that's the best way to go.
All right.
And equipment, there's so much equipment out these days. But I guess they could just go to any camera store or good film store like in New York. There are great places, and they'll walk you through, recommend maybe what to start with.
What are your favorites that you shoot with?
Well, I shoot Canon cameras, And I use my trusty old Dyna lights, which is the lights I've had since 1987, and they're still holding up. It's nothing too modern or fancy, but they do the trick.
I was going to say, back then I feel like things were made a lot stronger. Now you go on Amazon and you buy things that break in 6 to 12 months, which is so frustrating. So that's awesome that you still have the same gear and that's still working out. So as we start to wrap up our conversation, what are some of the photographs that you wish you took? Because I know on Facebook you always post some of your favorite photographs. What are some of the photos that you wish you took?
So yeah, a little series I have that people love. Today's photo I wish I had taken, but it's you can go back to some people who are no longer with us. Yesterday I posted this beautiful photo of Grace Kelly, and everybody was like going crazy over it. And so if I could, I'm a big old Hollywood fan, so I love Hollywood black and white movies. So to me, I would love to go back and photograph maybe Grace Kelly or Hedy Lamarr, Ava Gardner, Clark Gable, all that whole crew back then. I would love. Today, I would love to. There's actors I'd like to photograph. Al Pacino, my favorite. I've never gotten to photograph. Clint Eastwood, I would love to photograph. Yes, it's just.
Hey, maybe we can make that happen. We have a lot of connections in this circle. We'll make it happen.
It would be nice. Yeah.
Clint Eastwood, maybe I have more of a connection than Al Pacino, but we'll see. We'll tap into our network.
That's right. That'd be great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, a lot of it's like old time, like Hollywood. That's the old black and whites. I just love. George Harrell was one of my big influences. He's the big Hollywood. It's that very dramatic lighting, overhead lighting, and very dramatic with the actors looking away. I just love that.
I can see that in your work, which always drew me to you because I'm a huge old Hollywood fan too. So I love that you have that. Your photos are very reminiscent of old Hollywood, which I think a lot of people come back to you for. They have that, and you do have that style. Yeah, for sure. So how can people find you? I mean, if they want to buy your merch, if they want to work with you, how can everyone find you?
Everything's on my website, barrymorgenstein.com. Or again, just search for me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on there all the time posting, and I always answer messages too, and my phone number is there, and email that you can find too is on the website and on my social media. So yeah, I'm easy to track down. And
also traveling a little bit of parts of the country for some headshot sessions.
Yeah, we take it on the road, and we that's my little taste of being on tour, I guess. It's like I joke around, say I'm on the road again, and I need a tour bus. So we go to DC, Virginia, about 2-3 times a year. In that area, I built up a big clientele down there, and I have a whole team down there. So we go to Virginia for a week and we shoot. I'm going to be there September 30th and October 1st. And I sometimes go to Nashville. I need to get back there. I haven't been in a while, but I have to go back. And actually, I'm happy to announce I'm going to be in the Jupiter Palm Beach area in the new year, January 18th and 19th for headshots. So I've been starting to slowly promote, but yeah, so we're taking it on the road.
All right. Well, everyone will definitely check you out and schedule some sessions. I need to get back to New York to see you very soon.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And I hope you'll come back and see us again next time.
Anytime. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye, Barry.